Hi, my name is Kim Cullen, and I'm a personal injury attorney in Winter Park, Florida. At the conclusion of practically every settled personal injury case, the issue of a release will come into play. A release is important in a personal injury case because that's essentially what the defendants are trading in exchange for money. Very generally, a release is an agreement by a plaintiff or an injured person to accept money from a defendant and have that money be the full payment that that defendant will ever pay. In other words, the plaintiff can't come back and ask for more money, and that the receipt of the money ends this particular dispute or lawsuit or conflict. If you want to learn more about releases generally, I would urge you to find the other videos that we've recorded on our YouTube channel and on our webpage that have to do with releases. We've run into a couple of cases recently where defendants in cases have tried to do some kind of strange things with releases, so I thought I'd talk about them in this video. So we handle a lot of cases where we're essentially pursuing or suing multiple defendants on behalf of our client. The classic examples might be a car accident case where we're suing or pursuing the owner of the vehicle, but also the driver of the vehicle if those two people are different. Or it might be a situation where we're handling a dangerous products case and we have multiple businesses in the stream of commerce that we're pursuing. Or in a premises liability case, it might be suing a business where our client tripped and fell, and then also the company who owned the building where the fall occurred. So there are a lot of cases where we have multiple defendants in the same case. And sometimes in those cases, the defendants, for whatever reason, one of those defendants will decide they want out of the case and they want to make our client a reasonable settlement offer. And so our clients, in many instances, are inclined to accept their money. So whenever the defendants who want to settle the case are getting ready to pay their money, what they want in exchange is a release. And a lot of times releases are sort of boilerplate, particularly in cases that we settle very early on where there aren't lawyers involved on both sides. We will generally get a release from an insurance company that they use in thousands and thousands and thousands of cases every year. And as I said before, most of those releases will contain very broad boilerplate language that the company has learned over the years is suitable for their wants and needs. So recently we've been brought into a couple of cases where lawyers have settled the case, the easy or early part of the cases, and they bring the cases to us to work through the litigation part of the case. So in those cases, we've run into a couple of situations where remaining defendants will come to us or go to the court and say, hey, judge, the plaintiff signed this release language, and the language in that release is so broad that it means that we ought to be let out of the case too. And so and that can sometimes be a problem because sometimes the language is broad or vague, and it might look like the people who weren't even involved in this release were also released. And so one of the things that we do in every case where we have multiple parties or multiple defendants is we make sure that we include limiting language in the release that clearly indicates that we're only settling the claim against this one party and not any of these other parties. So we will specifically many times put the names of all the parties we're not settling with so they can't come back later and say, oh, well, that release intended to resolve the claim against us. We put it right in the document. So a lot of people don't realize that the language in releases is very negotiable. When they send you a release to sign, it's a proposed release. And so a lot of times insurance companies don't have any problems with us or you or anybody changing some of the language in the release as long as it doesn't change the basic part of it, which is we're taking your money and we're letting you go. Most insurance companies won't mind if you put in language that says we're not releasing XYZ or party DEF. We're only releasing party ABC. And there's also some other language in releases that depending on the facts and circumstances of the individual case that you would want to change as well. So if you have any questions about releases or the language that ought to be included in releases or the flexibility or negotiability of the terms in a standard release in a personal injury case, please reach out to us. We love to answer questions. All you have to do is call us at 407-254-4901. You can text us at 407-644-4444, or you can even reach us through the Facebook Messenger app.